No, we want the heat. Is it? I don't know. It's hot. It was super hot yesterday afternoon.
Let's go, Chuckies!
Thank God we didn't.
And we are live. Joining me today is Sammy from Singapore Shop.
Hello everyone.
Myself, yours truly, Cedric Palomares, helping with the PFTA organization. We have here in AOU GCC pre-quarters Alpha versus Chuckies. Chuckies from Singapore, Alpha from the Philippines.
Yeah. So this is looking up to be quite a good game because these contrasting styles of play seem to be very complementary. So you can expect this game to be fairly tight, or that's what we're hoping for. And then from there, basically, we'll see how it pans out. Hopefully it'll be a good watching for everyone. Ooh, and we have first error already.
Didn't expect that turnover to be this early. An unexpected one, for that matter.
Well, Chuckies is known for really intense D as well, so you can expect them to be really working hard to get this back.
Alright. Kenneth passing it to Alex. Back to Kenneth.
Okay, so a bit loose right now in terms of the defense, but I think they're just feeling it out, making sure that they're trying to see how Alpha moves as well.
Sure.
Alright, so looks like they're settling in now.
Kenneth
wow.
with a hammer.
Oh. Alright.
So, was able to touch to this, just wasn't able to grab it.
Alright, so Chuckies has another bit on their roll score. And we have number 50, Darian, about to pick up the disc here. And Darian's one of the main handlers for Chuckies. And yeah, you can look to see a lot of good plays coming out of him. Okay, over to another handler, Fadli. Oh, here we go. They're off to the races. Okay. And now we see a bit more Pochi D as well from Alpha side.
Seems like they're doing some type of Pochi zone. Plugging the influx, it seems.
And both teams seems to be feeling each other out, trying to get some kind of a rhythm. And it looks like Chuckies is going a little bit more conservative, as they are known for, being very good and well-versed in moving the disc around. Handlers are moving the disc very early as well, trying to keep the defense guessing.
Seems like they're doing a good job so far finding those cracks in the defense of Alpha.
That's right, slowly making their way up the field as well. Almost to the end zone.
10 yards away from the end zone.
Oh.
Was there some contact? No call.
Apparently no call. Alright, Alpha.
Go for the disc, sends it to Kenneth.
Alright, it looks like the Alpha D-line is quite comfortable to not just look for the deep option straight away, but actually look to work it up the field. They have a good flow going.
They do. I think Alpha prides itself in flow mechanics of its team. Alex in front of the end zone.
And we have a score straight down the side.
It's Trina Torres for the score.
Alright, first break of the game. We've also had the opportunity to meet up with some of the key players and leadership of the different teams and get some insights from them. For Chuckies, we have as their coach, Kumar, is actually a player coach, playing with them this weekend as well. And yeah, Chuckies is a up-and-coming team in Singapore, establishing themselves very well in the local scene and looking to break out to the region as well. And as you can see here, they're having a very good showing so far in AOU GCC. And this game with Alpha, as mentioned previously, looks to be a good contrast of styles. So I think you can expect the game to start to pick up the tempo as the teams start to feel each other out, both in their playing styles as well as how their lines are moving as well. So hopefully we can see some good things, good pressure placed by the Chuckies D line, and we'll see how the Alpha O line holds up to it.
Let's see if Alpha can generate another break. Maybe what? Let's see if, or maybe Chuckies just will get it back, get the groove on.
Alright, Alright, so the Chuckies handler is moving it quite confidently uphill. Oh, with an uncharacteristic error at this point. Alpha might look to capitalize and...
In the end zone.
Oh, close, but no.
Caught it in the fingertips. It went overhead. Those are some pretty difficult.
Yeah, those are quite hard in that sense. But it was close to the sideline, so yeah, try to make the best out of it. We have Fadli now, one of the handlers as well for Chuckies, bringing it up to the line.
Marked by JCT.
And handling with him with the female handler Nurul as well. And once more, we're seeing this poachy defense over from Alpha. And Chuckies very confidently swinging in front of their end zone, moving it out of the danger zone.
4 handlers just to make use of that space.
That's right.
Bendy forehand.
All right, over to Anais. Okay, lots of
Wide
space
open.
there. And looks like they're finding a bit of a rhythm now, looking for the gaps. Yeah, Chucky seems to be very well versed in looking for the gaps between any kind of a poachy zone or a wall of such.
Right.
And we'll see if Alpha is able to adjust. But so far, Chucky's still able to find those gaps.
Almost halfway through the field, so they're pretty close already. But Alpha still sticking to their poachy zone.
All right, and Darian seems to be almost like a general for the team here, getting the disc every other possession, really managing the flow, and actually taking a bit more of the risk that this rather conservative team likes to take.
Scooper there over Andrew O'Malley, the mid defender.
Definitely a lot of discipline and a lot of space given to the offense by Alpha.
A whole lot of space.
Definitely a lot of sagging on the handler marks.
Forehand
And
wide
yes.
open.
Oh, apparently there looks to be a call. Okay, possibly a pick call. Alright, so about 10 meters outside of the end zone. Chucky scoring end zone. Flow over to the break side. And oh, nice break throw from Anais.
They get their first point.
Yes, Chucky's is on the board of a score from JJ, Junjie Chang.
Score is now 1-1. Despite the turnover there a while ago, Chucky's showing a bit more control over their offense. They seem to be picking up in terms of how they want to do things. I do see that conservative approach a bit more apparent in that point, with them taking care of the disc.
Yeah, definitely. I think with the format, a lot of teams in the region are realizing that with this standardized format, the games are long. So yes, some errors may occur early on, but definitely you can see that the composure from Chucky's in this case, knowing that it's a long game and breaks come and go as they might, you definitely have opportunities to get back up top. So now basically they're able to bring out their D-line, and we'll see what they can do.
I'm looking forward to see the intense defense that we're talking about. Never had the chance to play with Chuckies, but I do hear, and I did get to see them last year when they played over there in Suwon. If I'm not mistaken, they made it to the finals last year.
Yes, they did against my own team as well. And yes, definitely Chuckies is known for working very well together as a team and being very passionate in the way that they play. So you can expect them to put in their maximum effort here. As you can see, the marks are really nice and tight. Okay, but so far Alpha's moving it up fairly well. Let's look to see if the defense is able to set a bit more.
First time to see the Alpha offense line.
Oh, all right. And it looks like we have an error as well.
Just a bit too far for the curve to get it to the brick side.
Yeah, so it looks like both teams are still looking to feel each other out as well, and also their own lines. Definitely, of course, with the different formats that we've seen in this tournament, teams are always looking to build up on their chemistry. And let's see on the Chuckies D-line here. Oh, a deep shot early. And oh, a great defense from Alpha as well.
Great D by Adric Aznar.
And he looks to be all right. Great D. So even though, like I mentioned for Chuckies, they are looking to be a conservative team, and that's their trademark all-star, as mentioned by their coach Kumar as well. But they're definitely not afraid to look deep as well, and it's a well-balanced game.
Right.
Yeah. And definitely on the D-line, if there's an opportunity for that quick score to capitalize on the turn, they will look for it. Ooh, almost an error there, but close on the sidelines.
Warren is one of the star players of Alpha.
And we see another lefty
Speaking
blow.
of which, that's him with the point.
And a great put right into the end zone. Very pinpoint.
He's a very, very fast player. As you can see, he just got that end cut, and then suddenly he's at the end zone already.
Yeah, the camera had a hard time catching up with that.
Too fast for the camera. Alpha, as a team, has been around for 2-3 years now already. But definitely these players have been playing for more than that amount of time. They do. It seems like they have a good shot for AOU GCC. 2017 with 2 wins so far.
Yeah, I've heard they've been training really, really hard in the months upcoming to AOU GCC, and it's definitely showing in the field in terms of team chemistry as well as personal skills. And yeah, definitely, even in this tournament already, there have been some great games and great gameplay put up by Alpha, especially that game I think yesterday was with the top seed as well, Sublime Mixed. They put up a really good showing.
I did hear about that, a U-point victory?
That's correct, yes. So very hard fought. Ooh, and we have another error, unfortunately, in this case. So, all right, we're gonna have to put on some really tight D here. All right.
Alex swings it to Kenneth.
Okay, Alpha not really going too much of a stack at this point in time, but kind of finding the open spaces right now. Okay, they're starting to reorganize on that.
Not afraid to lose some yardage.
And looks like no call. Or possibly a discussion.
Seems to be a call. Whether or not the impact affected the catch.
Yeah, there might have been some impact from behind a little bit there, but they're having a good discussion on that.
As you can see on screen, the people in yellow are the game advisors, and the goal of game advisors are not to provide ruling, but only to provide opinion on what has happened.
Definitely an unbiased perspective, especially if the players are looking to hear from someone who is able to be not really involved inside the gameplay, probably with the best perspective.
Right. Definitely the person with the slowest heart rate.
that can play a factor, yes. That can.
I do know you need to be certified in order to be a game advisor. It's not something that anyone can just...
Yes, their knowledge of the rules and the gameplay is definitely very much to be appreciated. And here, Chuckies have moved it up already. Once more, we're seeing the same so far. Very poachy zone.
Already at the break mark.
From Alpha, yes. But they're being very patient, as is characteristic of Chuckies, to move it up, finding the gaps, and Alpha looking to adjust and make it difficult for them.
Transitioning into man defense.
And as you can see, the two handlers here, Fadli as well as Darian there, have very good chemistry here, as and evidenced in that one throw there, leading over to the break side. And you can look to see them as well, working very closely with each other, commanding the flow of the mids. And once in a while, of course, some mids may come down and help them fill in. So, but they're very comfortable with the two-man handle as well.
It seems like it. That was a pretty tight throw. I would think that some players might not give that throw just on how tight that was. He did catch it right outside the sideline already, but if you do have that chemistry, if you do have that understanding of how each other moves, you can utilize those unexpected throws.
Most definitely, especially so early in the game where the other team may not exactly have seen some looks from yourself. You're actually a lot of liberty to explore those different looks that you may have in your repertoire, and you definitely saw one of them there.
It's interesting in these tournaments. You as a player would tend to go up against someone else that you probably don't have any intel over, so it's an even game. I'm not sure if Alpha has faced Chuckies ever before, so a lot of the looks, a lot of the throws, a lot of players are pretty new, so they themselves might also be surprised with what's happening.
Exactly. But of course, as you work together with team chemistry, you're hoping to surprise the opponent far more than yourself. And like I mentioned earlier, we were able to speak with some of the leadership of the different teams, and we have here on the line for the Chuckies D line, Coach Kumar.
Oh,
we were able to speak. Yeah, he's one of the players in on the line right now, and yeah, we'll see him in action. Right there, marking the handler of the disc right now. That's Kumar. Alright, so both sides still continuing on with their standard flow in terms of Pochi Mandy.
Alpha is swinging the disc. Warren on the break side.
Okay. Defense is definitely starting to tighten up on both ends.
Tomo, Sam.
They seem quite comfortable to allow a lot of swings in this case, so I guess yardage gain and preventing it is what they're looking for precisely here.
Flow control.
One thing I have noticed as well is that having some knowledge playing with Chuckies, their focus is always on if all possible to play through the middle of the field, and that's something that Kumar mentioned as well. And that probably is a good thing to contrast with the way that Alpha seems to be playing. They're happy to use the sidelines as much as they can.
True, as utilizing those upline cuts, definitely.
Exactly.
Such as this one. Oh,
unfortunately a call.
But yeah, I do get to play against Alpha, and they do feel comfortable, contrast to other teams, playing it on the sideline, just going at it, versus how other teams might have philosophies over in the offense.
Yeah, I guess in this case, one thing to take note. Oh, a very good D in this case. Very good awareness from Wei Pin. And the throw from Nurul, unfortunately, a little bit far in this case. But it was a good look and a good follow-on.
I think so. There was a lot of space. It just didn't fly as high as needed.
Yeah, this weekend, the weather as well has been a factor. At times, the wind being very gusty. And even right now, as you can see, very different from that. The wind itself is virtually non-existent right now.
Right.
All right, Alpha moving it left to right again. Oh, a nice bid. In this case, perhaps an injury.
Seems like she slipped over the offense player.
Yeah, I might have caught her legs on that bid there. But definitely no malice intended.
Play continues. Angelique Cortez. With the disc, forehands.
And an error, unfortunately.
It was a bit too far for the cutter to get over.
Okay, so about 20 meters out, Coach Kumar from Chuckies with the disc, swing over to Nurul, centering the disc. And let's see what structure Chuckies will look to play in. Okay, nice and straight.
Lateral cut.
And excellent open side flow.
That was a break point. First break of the game.
I believe so. So we might be even in this case now.
Yeah, it is even, but Chuckies is up one break. We do see I mean, I've seen the Alpha offense stronger than this. It seems like the defense of Chuckies is really making them think twice about their options, about their cuts. Looking forward to see them make some strong adjustments towards the middle of the game.
Yes, definitely. I think as we start to approach end zones of the teams, you'll start to see them move away from their very tactical approach to poachy defenses, maybe a bit of zone, and you'll see more of that tighter man deep. And I think in this case, things are starting to pick up on both sides. But that score definitely puts a good space for Chuckies to take it forward.
To all. If you just joined us right now, you're watching AOU GCC 2017, brought to you by World Flying Disc Federation, World Flying Disc Federation. We do see an unfortunate slippage of disc, causing a turnover at the break mark. World Flying Disc Federation, Flying Disc Association.
Tapos na, pero we're leaving na.
Sponsored by Chuckies and PLDT Home Fiber.
Kasama natin sa...
Okay, no score yet. Close into the end zone. Okay, a bit of a pick call. And another opportunity for a quick capitalization from Chuckies.
Guys, go down.
Basic key. Catching up with the mark.
And Alpha, of course, looking to bring the disc as far away from the end zone, and unfortunately, we have a score.
Finding that open guy in the backhand, in the break side. I was also talking to Kumar a while ago, and it's interesting. He did say that they do favor the lateral cut a lot versus the basic piston movement of up and down.
I think that's something that you can see becoming more and more prevalent in Ultimate. I think it really comes down to stylistic preferences. Something, of course, being a player in the same country as a Chuckies or Choke, lateral cuts are definitely an integral part of the game. Not to say that they are by any means better, but it's just another option, another tool in the repertoire to be able to move the disc right and make it much more difficult to defend. Definitely making it feel as three-dimensional as possible.
Yeah, it's interesting because that's one of those. I don't know if you did hear about this. But that was one of the things that was told to us when we were back like 5-6 years ago. That as a beginner, you try to avoid doing lateral cuts because you're blocking the cutting lanes of other players. But as you progress in your career, it seems like
things that you were told to do in the past, things you're told not to do in the past, may become part of your strategy.
Yeah.
But I guess that's part of the beauty of Ultimate, in that as you progress, there's always new things to learn and bring. Okay, we have a deep shot from Alpha.
Deep shot from Randall.
Okay, a little bit far in this case.
Oh, I spin on that disc. Ollie T was not there to get it. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it's relative to other sports, it's pretty new. So these stylistic preferences come out, and you get to see different ways of playing the same sport.
All right, so we have Chuckies having another look on a D point, seeing to move up the field.
Foul called.
And as mentioned, Chuckies is a very bonded team, and as you can see from their celebrations, they're, no matter what, whether they're up, down, and they're maybe having a little bit of a rough run, not having team chemistry at a particular point in time, they're always looking to uplift themselves. And I think that's also very indicative of the way that Ultimate is moving, and that where the players are becoming more and more aware of the fact that they need to be ambassadors of the sport when they're on the field, and that positive energy not only can help with the players and the team chemistry, but it will also help with the image that the sport portrays to the public. And we have a beautiful break throw from Kumar. And unfortunately, a nice IO look.
Good look. It was a good look. Just some miscommunication and the angle of the...
Yeah, it might have popped up a little bit.
But there is a call.
Some call, I'm not sure what the discussion here is about. We'll know soon enough. Oh, it looks like they're talking about the timing possibly of a pick call and whether or not it would have affected.
Let's see if the game advisors get involved. What I do know is the game advisors only get involved after a certain amount of time if the players can't settle by themselves, or if they have any questions on the rules.
And judging by the fact that this has in fact gone back to the thrower, I think they may actually have agreed on the fact that the throw was affected.
Oh, there you go.
Yes. Oh, yes, then there we go. Game advisor stepping in.
Let's see how it's settled. Ultimate, as a self-officiated sport, of course, relies heavily on the players knowing the rules. But as a lot of things go, there could be open interpretations of the same rules. So that's what these game advisors are for. They could provide an objective perspective. The disc goes back to number 82. I think one of the rules that they wanted to enforce in this tournament is the 45-second rule, where if call is not settled, regardless of whether the discussion is happening in 45 seconds, automatically contested. Easily that avoids a lot of the situations where you see just long stretches of just dull
inactivity. So here we have Chuckies really close to their scoring zone. Handlers being very patient, moving it around.
Backhand throw.
And as you can see for Chuckies, and I would say most of the teams here, as the hill level starts to be raised across Asia, the individual skill level of the players is definitely a lot higher than year on year in that sense.
It is.
Break throws, you can see it's basically a common thing now.
I think, if I remember correctly, 3 of the 5 points now of Chuckies came from the break side.
Pretty much, yes. They flow the disc very well from side to side, and our handlers are very well versed. And actually, not just handlers, all of their players are very well versed in being able to execute what needs to be done to break. And even when the defense is very good, working with positioning, working with their team strategy to get the disc one side to the other. Because as we know, when you move the defense, gaps will tend to open. Static defense, static offense makes it a lot easier for the defense to mark things out.
I agree. So we have a timeout right now from Alpha. Good call. Just need to regroup and re-strategize.
Look to break the run of Chuckies a little bit. They've had a good run. Quite a number of breaks in a row.
It's the pre-quarter stage, so very important to find out who's. If I'm not mistaken, whoever wins this match will go to the top 8.
I believe so, yes. And then, of course, at this point in time, then they'll see who their opponents will be. But definitely hotly contested. And Chuckies coming from Singapore, they want to make as good a showing as possible. And Alpha on the opposite side of that, they home court advantage. There's a certain amount of pride in that as well.
Right.
So both teams definitely have a lot to play for. And actually, a great point set from what you mentioned regarding the extra emphasis from WIFDIF to focus on the timings and keeping to those official timings between points and scores. Yeah, being also a player in this tournament as well. Yes, I can definitely attest to the fact that the marshals were very vocal about it, politely letting us know every time that we had 30 seconds, 15 seconds to move that. And I think that's essential for a well-run tournament. Right. Because if you have things dragging out, these seconds, these minutes, they add up.
In those seconds and minutes, when they add up, they could just literally change the results of the game.
Exactly. Especially when it all comes down to 1 point sometimes.
Right, more often than not, a minute would be enough to score. So
well enough to score, in fact, especially with how efficient some offenses are that we're seeing on the ground here.
How has your experience so far been as a player? I mean, as a participant of AOU GCC, this has probably not been your first regional tournament.
No, I had the opportunity to participate with my team in the mixed division previously. This time I'm playing in the opens division with the Singapore men's team Crackerjacks. And previously before that, in 2013, it was held locally in Singapore. And I was able to participate in the mixed division with my home team show. So definitely, I enjoy these competitions, and I can't imagine that any competitive player would not want to be able to participate. The experience, I think, has been good. The quality, that's what most players coming to this tournament were really raving about, in that they're able in one place to have that forum to play with a lot of teams that they wouldn't have had the opportunity to. And I think that is definitely so true. So we have teams from across the region, not just in Asia. We have of course, a strong showing from the Japanese in North Asia, and as well as from the Australians, who are traditional powerhouses. Right. So definitely it's good to have these here. And of course, with that timeout, very positive for Alpha.
Alpha showing their flow finally, moving along the backhand side from one end to another. Randall T to Cesc Trinidad.
Yeah, so Chuckies will definitely look to try and address that because that was straight down the open side. So definitely need to adjust on that one. Can't give that one up too much.
I myself am very envious of these players. I'm wondering why I'm not playing, but definitely an honor to help organize these events. But yeah, definitely this is the dream for competitive players out here in Asia. The dream to play against the best of the best, the cream of the crop.
Well, I'm sure we'll see you on the field soon enough. Yeah, this is definitely a good lead up to, I'm sure, what everybody looks as to AOUGC as a lead up to, which is Worlds next year. So definitely things are looking to ramp up.
I'm not sure. Have they announced where Worlds will be next year?
I've heard a lot of things, and I'll just wait till it's actually formalized before I try to make any arrangements.
Oh, you have some insider info.
No. No insider info. I know about as much as
between you and
everyone
me
else.
and the rest of YouTube. No insider info?
None whatsoever. All right, and here we have Chuckies.
Let's see if Alpha can generate their own breaks. They're still sticking to that zone look with one man at the mark and two ladies and preventing the forward pass, but it seems like they're not getting those forward pass prevented as much as they probably want.
Chucky's having some excellent flow right now.
Very excellent flow.
Not just between the handlers, which traditionally in the past few points have been dominating the play, but you saw in that one point there a lot of integration of their cutters as well, and they have a very strong cutting team there with with Felix there in number 71, as well as Shantan, his compatriot, the taller individual there. They're definitely very strong cutters who can exploit both the deep and the short.
Right.
So definitely as they're looking to adjust, and we're seeing that there may be some adjustment to this poachy zone by Chuckies. Hopefully we'll start to see some adjustment in the defensive end from Alpha as well.
Right, I do like that the movement of the cutters from Chuckies a lot, the way that they complement one another in terms of timing. Yeah, in the previous points it was the handlers that were the star of the point, but at this point it seems like, hey, we mids also wanna show our skills. No need to get the dump.
And if you can get all 7 players on the line to be integrated, that just makes things easier for a lot of people.
Let's see, it's a 90-minute game. There's definitely a lot of room to adjust, a lot of room to make some changes. Let's see how Alpha adjusts their defense. They definitely need to shut down those throws to the middle of the field and prevent those forward passes if they want their defense to work.
Yes, definitely. It was a bit of a short pull for this point, so Alpha definitely making up for that and getting it down the field quite quickly. Some effective swings.
Elmo.
Okay.
Randall looking for the long.
And yes, as we mentioned, Alpha not afraid to move to the sidelines, but definitely looking and getting that flow.
And there you have it. Ollie also passing it to Aaron, two of their star players.
Yeah, I think a really good point for Alpha is that while they move side to side a lot and they're not afraid to move it really close to the side boundary, they're also very aware of the fact that if the look is not there, they're looking to reset it back to the center again. So minimal chance of the defense being able to adjust and getting them trapped on the sidelines. So I think they're doing that very well, not giving Chuckies the time to set on them.
Sure, I think to your point, Alpha very much aware of how important it is to move the disc around to find those cracks. They definitely want to move it side to side, and then if they see that the defense is just a bit off balance, they don't mind going straight for the end zone on that side.
Alright, so it's 6-4 to Chuckies at this point in time, and Alpha definitely looking to see if they can narrow the margin, squeeze a couple of breaks back. Still well early in this game, but definitely you don't want to wait for too late to try to make a run back into it.
Rob with the pull. Short pull.
Alright, so far, traditional movement that we've seen by the handlers from Chuckies, moving back and forth. Okay, we have Darren hitting JJ and centering to Sean. Once more we're seeing the handlers and the cutters moving very much in sync for Chuckies. And okay, yeah, whenever there's no flow, still the reset is always there. So definitely a very disciplined team, and they have a system that they're looking to stick to.
Alpha working with a man defense.
All right, and a break side throw, pinpoint in this case from Darian to JJ.
Pretty efficient point right there from Chuckies, regardless of the change in the defense from Alpha. That's one of the type of throws that we're starting to see a lot here in Asia, those blady, bendy throws.
And definitely I think we have the Japanese to thank for that.
We do.
They're not the only ones to do it, but they definitely are the ones to popularize it, and everybody has been trying to integrate that. And definitely we're seeing a lot of that. A credit to the Japanese as well to make a throw so much a throw that's associated to them.
Yeah, it's a very difficult throw. I think not everyone has the guts or the balls to make that throw. It's a very the margin is very small, but when you do get it, it works out so well.
Well, I'm sure these teams are drilling these throws, however difficult they may be, into being part of their repertoire. So definitely we'll start to see this. Like I mentioned, the skill, the individual skill in Asia has been rising, and I think not just in Asia but globally as well. And you can see players that are much younger, and if you compare them to players before in the same amount of time playing, definitely the level of play is much higher.
I agree. I myself, having started only when I was 21.
Yeah, I was a bit of a late bloomer myself.
When did you start playing?
I started playing in university.
Oh,
Yes.
and some of these players probably started playing when they were high school already. I think
Exactly.
for both you and I, that's the dream. Why didn't we see the sport a bit earlier?
Well, that's a question that we shouldn't ask too much. It's one filled with regret. All right, so we have a call here in the middle of the field. Not sure at this point what it may be. There's a discussion going on for it. Okay, it's resolved. Play resumes. Alpha on the disc.
Chuckies showing their own version of the zone.
Definitely a very roomy zone, lots of space. And Alpha is looking for the overheads. So far, a lot of space, not that much pressure on them at this point. It's changing.
Getting those easy resets. Another scooper.
And it's great to see that right now for both teams, their defense is in fact starting to adapt more to how the teams, their opponents are playing. So we're seeing different looks on zone. They're definitely starting to identify where the other teams are looking to hit on offense. And yeah, we're definitely seeing having a lot of the teams having to move back, lose some yards, and then try to gain it back on the other side. Not as clear-cut as before.
I think the middle of the game is going to be different from what we've seen at the beginning.
And a deep look from Alpha. Oh, and a great defensive bit from Chuckies.
That was a really good
defensive
bit,
player.
just to get the tip of the disc and change the flight. Warren from Alpha was able to touch it, but it's that slight change in the flight.
Yes. And I think that that great bit came from number 56, if I'm not wrong. I'll check again later. I think that's Wei Bin.
That was a really sick bit.
Yeah, it was a great bit, put some pressure. Might even have gotten a piece of the disc.
I think he's in pain.
Oh yes, he had to take a sub in this case. I think he might have winded himself on that one. And coming in for him, I think, is JJ, yes, who has so far been playing offensive points for Chuckies.
Oh.
Alright, and they're off to the races. Straight on the sideline. Effective reset. Over to Natalie.
Alpha with the force back.
Okay, we're seeing
the
that
man defense
Yep.
is compared to the zone.
It's definitely a man defense, but in this case, still a lot of poaching, situational poaching as well. Oh, that's a nice inside-out throw to the middle of the field. A good yardage gain.
Another open side cut.
And was there a call? Oh, maybe some confusion there whether or not there was a call. Okay, so at about the halfway mark right now. Chuckies have a chance for another break. Okay, so right now looking at the field, there isn't any very clear stack at this point in time from the Chuckies offense. It seems to be a bit more free-flowing and transitioning between... Okay, I guess as we're getting closer, they're moving back to vertical,
So like a first
but
move.
a lot of space being given.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Surprising amount of space. But hey, maybe it's in their strategy. Maybe they do want to see those floaty throws.
Straight
Get a
put
bid.
down the line.
Oh!
Great bid, but in this case a little bit too bladey.
Good bid though by number 29.
Alright, Alpha has it back. Looking to convert in their O.
Let's see how they adjust their offense versus this zone look from Chuckies. I think. Oh, timeout.
Timeout called by Alpha.
That was a pretty long point compared to
It
the
was.
other points.
I think in this case there wasn't that much flow from the Alpha side. Once more, a well called timeout, looking to calibrate it a little bit, maybe come in with a set play, and we'll see how it goes.
Not
from
as
there.
much handler movement as they probably would want in that cup zone.
Yes, and they're definitely looking to get back that form that they had in the very, very interesting and exciting game with Sublime Mixed yesterday. So definitely looking to get back on that form. And Chuckies, of course, Chuckies are quite comfortable at this point in time. I think there've been some errors on both ends, but at this point in time, it looks like Chuckies is the more settled team. Their strategy is working. Everybody knows their place. And yeah, it's the onus is on Alpha right now to try and get back into it. It looks a little bit choppy on their end.
Chucky's definitely showing that their offense is a bit more polished than Alpha at this point in time. Alpha having some errors from their O-line. They need to just polish it up just a little bit so that they could generate those points and focus instead on getting their D-line out and pressuring Chuckies to make their own errors.
Definitely. And then we can see here as well the game advisors. Now, I can only imagine the amount of information that they have to digest and essentially download into their minds to be able to do their duties to the best. So I'm sure a lot of discussion goes back and forth between them to make sure that they're doing the best possible job that they can.
I was able to overhear some of their discussions yesterday that even outside the field they talk about the discussions, areas where we need to put out reminders as organizers. They were talking about how the dangerous plays are still areas of misunderstanding for some players that what do we call this? Making a play for a disc is never a valid rule for physical, a valid excuse for physical contact.
Especially as the level of play gets more and more competitive, we will see people making amazing bids at the same time, but it's important that we have people always reminding them and actually getting them in the mentality as well to remind themselves and always be aware that the safety of another is always of paramount importance.
I agree. Disc is back in.
And a very, very dynamic and tight zone being put on by Chuckies. Actually, with a cup of sorts being anchored by the ladies up at the front. And Alpha definitely taking a lot of chances here, not paying off in this case.
That one didn't work out so well.
Might be rushing it a bit.
But Chucky's doing a good job pressuring the handlers of Alpha to make those difficult throws.
Exactly. So far paying off for them.
Sticking to that boys back. At the sideline.
And a great throw from Yong-Eun to Natalie. And Yong-Eun looking for down the line. Natalie not pulling it out just yet. Oh, great
Nice
save. Okay.
Yeah, it seems like the defense of Alpha is they do want to get that force back, but they're not afraid to strike.
Try and get some help side D.
Right, some situational adjustments. They're not afraid to do that.
They are not, definitely.
But of course, it does come at a risk.
Oh, and Yong-Eun getting free on the strike there.
A bit wide open.
Chucky's going up another point. Now, great credit, I think, in this case, from what we're seeing from both teams, but definitely a bit more success from Chuckies at this time. Both teams not afraid to use all the players that they have on their field and put their ladies up in front as well to showcase their defensive prowess. So that's definitely something that we're looking to see and have been seeing in the region, where teams, especially the mixed division, we're seeing a lot more integration of different plays where you could see people being integrated in a more gender neutral stance, and I think that can only look to enhance the game as well.
No, definitely. Ultimate being one of the few sports that allow mixed gender play. Definitely making use of your ladies and your men, and then how it varies across a team will generate some different results.
Yeah, I think every division will have their strengths to be able to develop you as a player. And I think probably one of the intricacies of the mixed division is being able to, of course, pair the differences in how gameplay may be between the different genders. And of course, we try to integrate the individuals as much as we can. And there are stylistic differences that we need to be aware of. So I think from the more polished teams, the better teams, I guess, to put it very simply, you'll start to see that it becomes more seamless.
Is this from your experience, transitioning from a mixed team to an open division team?
Well, I wouldn't say it's a transition of sorts. I think there's a lot of fun to be had and a lot of enjoyment to be able to play in both gender as well as mixed divisions. But that, yeah, I would say a little bit from what we've experienced and what has been shared, both as a player playing in a particular situation with my home team, as well as observing games as well. You start to see that the teams that integrate everybody better and being able to play more as a team and not relying on certain individuals definitely are able to capitalize more and grow together.
Yeah, despite the size of the field, it's really the team that gets to utilize their seven players inside.
At the end of the day, yeah, it's a game of numbers. If you can integrate as many people as you can on the line and in your entire team, simple things like fatigue in gameplay do not become an issue anymore, and things become more well-rounded. People are sharper, people are not fatigued. They're able to play to the best of their ability. All right.
Second time out from Alpha on the...
Yeah, unfortunately, they've appeared to be having some issues. So definitely, if you need to take the time out, try to recalibrate again. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. I mean, we're both players. We understand that sometimes things just don't click that well for you. But yes, definitely a lot of maturity being shown by the leadership here to dial things back in. And like mentioned, it's a long game. You know, it's a long duration. Get points all the way up to 15. We're at 8-4 right now. Anything can happen. It could be a game of spurts. We could see Alpha go on a run for a bit, and runs are hard to stop sometimes. So it's anyone's game at this point.
Actually, we're a bit I just realized we were mistaken. It's not a timeout, it's a half. We're now at half with 8 points. But I think Alpha definitely wanted to utilize this time to regroup and recuperate. But yeah, let's see how the second half develops relative to what has happened so far.
So the Alpha players out there are getting in some throws, no doubt trying to get their mindsets back in place to be able to come out strong in the second half. And Chuckies as well, taking a break, discussing, and no doubt enjoying the advantageous position that they're in at this point, being up 8-4.
Sometimes between points it just takes a couple of throws to get your groove back, especially with these long breaks. Getting the chemistry out and getting the flow that you want might just start with these throwing sessions, and let's see how Alpha flows right after.
Yeah, if I'm not wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, Sad, but I think what I've been experiencing so far in the games that my team has played here is that the halves are about 7 minutes long.
Yes, I think they're 7 minutes long.
I actually find that really generous. It's nice. It's a good time here. You're actually able to bring your heart rate down a little bit, get a drink.
Unlike other tournaments where you only get like 1 timeout or 2 timeouts.
Fun. Not only that, but I think the fact that 7-minute time half is really interesting for me because we see many different trends in the way tournaments are run, and definitely, of course, there's some standardization. This being a WIFTF tournament, but I'm sure you've seen as well things the very common term mirror half, where there isn't even any time, and you just transition accordingly. So definitely 7 minutes is it's a welcome luxury. Yeah, as long as you can keep your focus.
For a 90-minute game, I think that 7-minute half is definitely something to be thankful for.
Definitely, yes. Because most people don't realize, but 90 minutes is a fair amount of time.
In contrast to a lot of the tournaments here in Asia, where it's normally 60 minutes for round-robin games, you normally see these 90-minute games for quarters, semis, and finals only. It's a test to the endurance of these players to play the same amount of games despite the longer durations.
And I think it's fair, like you mentioned. It gives advantages and chances to both sides, where you can look to stretch your lead out. But you also, if you happen to be trailing at any point in time, you have plenty of time to come back into the game and catch back up. So yeah, it's a sword that cuts both ways. So we'll go
definitely at the highest level of play, that's something that you want to give to the teams that allow ones to catch up. The thing that we want to avoid, of course, in these tournaments is to have those blowout losses where just a team who's really good, who's even better, but just so happens to not execute well. But because of a time cap, they just don't get to have that opportunity anymore. But I think with a 90-minute game, definitely it's going to be a better way of telling who's going to be the best.
Yeah, it showcases a portion that perhaps more so in Asia we don't see as much, which is the ability for a team to execute with endurance throughout a game. And it's not the fastest horse out of the blocks, but you have to actually finish all the way to the end.
Finish first.
Yes. All right, so second half about to roll out. Chuckies will be on defense, enjoying a 4-point lead at this time. 8-4 to Chuckies over Alpha.
We're 18 with the pole.
And we have a unique angle right here, a very wide angle view of the field.
I like this view.
Oh, it is nice. You can start to see the different shapes and actually the positioning of the
cutters.
All right, and starting to see once more very ladies up in the front, very lady heavy. It's poachy.
There seems to be more movement from the handlers though on this alpha line.
They're starting to realize, of course, to try and get the disc moving a little bit faster. I think don't let the defense set, especially if they're poaching as much. So definitely you can already see some adjustment from Alpha, looking for the gaps. We have Alex Castro here on the disc. Going to move it up. Actually rotated somebody else down to help out with the handling.
So to Randall, to Adrix.
And a very patient defense as well from Chuckies, looking around, looking for the spaces, trying to keep the motion as lateral as possible. Alpha, of course,
not minding.
Yeah, being able to move forward through that. So it's a game of inches right now.
Wide swing.
All right, down the line, Randall.
In front of the end zone, takes the scooper. Back to Alex.
All right, and they're definitely, as you can see, looking to stop the advance and an excellent identification.
Good view right there from Randall, seeing that Chuckies was trying to prevent that straight through pass, but they were, as with all defenses, if you take away something, you have to give away something.
And definitely him able to spot his teammate there, being in a very good position herself, placing herself out of reach, and maybe to a certain extent not being noticed by the Chuckies defense.
Pretty sneaky for Cess to go into that corner.
And an excellent throw right to her chest from Randall. All right, that's as positive a start as you want to get from Alpha. If you are Alpha moving into the second half.
We're now at 5-8. Alpha cutting the lead down to 3.
All right, so you're definitely more acquainted with the Philippine scene and with Alpha, perhaps. Are you well acquainted with any of the players that we have on the line right now for Alpha?
Actually, I am. The person pulling the disc is Kenneth de Guzman, who recently represented the country in WCBU in Bayern, France. I played with him before as a teammate, but now he is someone I play against on different teams. But
And that was a great throw from Sean
that was a
to his
perfect
teammate
throw.
in the end
Perfect
zone.
spacing.
She barely had to break her stride to get there. And once more again, we see the personal level of skill. Sean being one of the primary cutters for Chuckies, as identified with their coach. Personal skill-wise, anybody can look for the deep throw. Anybody can deliver to their teammates going, and that definitely makes for your team being a very formidable opponent to any team that you're playing, because they're able to hurt you in so many different ways.
And credit to Chuckies on that play. They seemed very fluid. It seems like the spacing of the throw was spot on. As you said, no need to slow down for the receiver, for Sean, to get that disc. It seems like they're on point in terms of their long game.
Yeah, I'm sure that the lead that they're experiencing right now definitely gives them confidence and allows them to play in a very relaxed format. So definitely that would be an advantage that they're looking to ride through this game.
Not that many hops though from Chuckies though. I think that was the second one or the third in that game.
Well, as mentioned, I think, speaking to the teams, I think both of these teams, while they are not afraid to look deep, have identified themselves correctly as being more conservative, being more technical. These are the words that they threw out. So in this sense, I think every deep look that they're going to explore would be one that you would see to be a bit more calculated.
Right.
So definitely, of course, you would see them probably possibly look off a few more if they're thinking that percentage-wise, that's not the best option that they have on the field.
In contrast to some of the teams that we might see here on this tournament, not to say that they're risky, but their appetite for more physically demanding plays are higher than the teams that we see right now.
Well, I think generally, especially at this level, that those teams that exploit those methods generally experience a higher amount of success. So I guess to a certain extent, that mantra holds true that it's only risky if you don't train it. So if it's part of your concept, if it's part of the way that your team runs, that may not actually be all that risky for you. An excellent upper line cut there. Okay, Alpha looking to have some really nice flow. Okay. And so far being able to generate open space from the Chuckies defense.
Well.
And there we
even
go.
the score. I think there's a call, whether it's in.
Excellent spirit as well from
No,
Chuckies.
it's not.
Calling
It is. No, it's not.
Maybe some conflicting calls. All right, it looks like it's been held true, and it's a score for Alpha.
Warren with a bendy throw to Ollie. The Kochi guy defender wasn't able to catch up to that space. I think the score is not updated though.
Yeah, I think right now what we have on the screen is a little bit dated. I'm sure that it will update itself in due course.
There you go.
There we go. 9-6 to
Thank
Chuckies.
you for updating the stats. 9-6. So since that break since getting that low point earlier, I mean, since the half, there hasn't been any breaks. So Alpha needs to generate those breaks if they want to get it back in this game.
I think so far they've settled in a little bit, at least in their offense points, so
At
they're
least,
trading.
yeah.
But being down, the game, while long, is starting to wind down, so they need to start to make a run soon.
They need to make something happen here.
All right, a decent pull over to the corner of the end zone. Okay, we have Janice here picking up the disc. Ooh, a little bit of a short swing. He was able to get it. Fadli. All right, a little bit of contact there, but I think it's very easily discussed. All right, we're going to start it off.
They're going back. Alpha is going back to their zone look
That's right.
with like a diamond preventing the easy forward pass.
I think something new that we're seeing from this Alpha defense right now is that it's not just one faceted where they're just poaching all the way, but I think a lot of the handler marks, as you can see, they start to sag into the lanes. I think to take away a little bit of flow from the mids, and or at least try to in this case. There's some flow from Chuckies as well. But I think that's what they're looking to do. Try to get more lateral swings, keeping in the disc of the handlers a little bit more, maybe trying to force a few more errors. But in this case, Chucky's showing some class, moving down, and very easily finding its way. Yep.
Yeah, but definitely this defense it's the same but different. They're trying to get the pressure on the handlers also.
Yes, and they definitely, in this case, being this close to the end zone, with the call here in this case, yep, they need to dial it in. They need to be a little bit tighter because Chucky's is moving this left to right, left to right, this close to the end zone. I think a poach might count against you in this case. Alright, and we have a hand block from Kenneth. Okay, Kenneth is off. And let's see, okay. And
I think there's a call.
Yeah, there's a call in this case.
Call is respected.
Alpha have an opportunity for a fast break opportunity there, but in this case they've gone back to the structure. Alex Castro of the disc at this point. Handling right now with Anjo.
Back to Anjo.
Okay, nice yardage gainer back to Kenneth again.
Kenneth with a bendy throw.
With a great assist. Defense and assist.
Pass to Anto Mali. That was spot on.
And here we see the two brothers, Anjo and Anto, working together on this line with Alpha.
Alpha getting their first break in the second half, cutting the lead to 2.
Alright, they are definitely making those efforts that we were mentioning they need to make now. Let's see if they can make a run out of it.
Let's see if they can get one more.
Alright.
And make it tight. No timeout though from Chuckies.
So far, no, yes.
Nope. No need. One of the things that's also different with this tournament is that the offense for mixed division can call a 4-3, where the 4 is your ladies, not just the men all the way.
Have you seen that this weekend where that was done more than a couple of times? So far on the mixed games that I've seen, it's been fairly traditional 4-3 to the men. But have you seen any? Is that?
I think, I don't know if I heard it correctly, but I think the game where Alpha played against Sublime went with a 4-girl call.
I was only able to watch the first half of that, so they must have continued that into the second half as well.
Right. Definitely, if you're the defensive you want to mix it up for the offense, make them do something they're not used to. Maybe if they're using all of their 4 guys in the field, take one out, put in another girl.
Yeah, we'll probably see a lot more experimentation as the weekend goes on, especially now being in the elimination stages, and teams are looking to make a push as much as we can. Alright, and then we have the handler pair right now. Actually, a handler trio of Fadli, Nurul, as well as Darian, moving this effectively with the mids. JJ and Sean once more, the cutting powerhouses for Chuckies, finding the open space. So far, defense...
Right on the brick line already. Pretty fast-paced offense here. So, pretty poachy.
I'm not sure if perhaps Alpha might want to do some adjustments on their defense, because at this point in time, it seems not to be impeding the flow of Chuckies all that much. So, a nice inside break. All right, Darian, of course, getting his troops organized.
The end zone swings it.
Fali working with Darian as well. They're both, as mentioned before, very comfortable moving it back and forth, giving their mids a chance to center and make an effective cut, possibly for a score. And a cheeky throw from JJ, high release forehand to Sean.
I almost thought it was going to hit the ground, but that was just the camera angle where it just didn't seem like there was a cutter there, but right on time. So it was a bit low, but it got them the point.
Those high release throws are seemingly becoming more and more comfortable for players and very popular. And I guess if you train it up and you can execute it well, fix it where you want to. It's a very unpredictable throw to mark.
It is. It's difficult, but if you get to master it, as you mentioned, it's something that's very difficult to mark. It passes right over your shoulder.
Exactly.
And if
So you're
only
not
we
looking
have
out
3
for it.
arms, that would be easy to defend, but no.
Yeah, so if you're not looking out for it, it's one that can definitely just sneak by you.
Right.
And oftentimes the only way to be really careful with that is you have to sit off your mark a little bit, which gives them a lot more opportunities to break in other ways. So definitely not a great situation as a marker if your thrower has those kind of throws as well.
What I do notice also is that these players with those high release forehand, they also adopted the way they play the game, that as they release it more often, definitely the marker would start to raise his hands up. So
And it opens up
it
the
opens up that
releases.
inside forehand,
Exactly.
or that faking that scuba. They would suddenly throw an open side throw. It definitely having more throwing prowess, or like a library of throws, makes it more unpredictable. And this is one of those new throws. Well, it's not new, but we're seeing more and more people utilize it in their own regimen of throws.
Exactly right. I can attest to how popular it seems to be in Singapore right now.
It is?
Yeah, even with the kids. I mean, when I started, it was, learn the backhand.
Learn the
Once you got the
forehand.
backhand, then you learn the forehand. And then even within that, it's like, okay, first you learn the normal release, low release. Now it's like, I'm going to start off with the hardest throw.
Start with a higher release. There seems to be a call on the field, though.
The advisor's brought in this case. All right.
I think there was a miscommunication on the desk being in play.
Yes. And of course, as you mentioned, the game advisors only being there to provide their perspective, and it's always, of course, the best if players are able to resolve these matters on their own, and that's generally what we're seeing most of the time.
So kudos to Alpha and Chuckies for being able to resolve it.
Oh, a great bit from Chuckies in this case. Yeah, Alpha able to keep possession. Okay, slowly inching their way closer towards their scoring end zone. Okay.
Ooh,
Okay.
cheeky bendy throw. Angelique Cortez in front of the end zone.
Okay. So they're looking to reset this point in time. Successful reset.
Good reset. They definitely want to pressure the...
Oh, and an excellent bid from Felix in this case to force the turnover, get
Just
that
a bit
defense.
too greedy in the
Yes.
offense line, trying to get those yardage, resulting into that day.
And it's a fine line, isn't it? Trying to get those passes off, and you're thinking, okay, I can get this
I
down.
could get this,
It's
I
a
could
higher
get this.
percentage, and then suddenly the moment you release may not be exactly as you envisioned.
Well, it is a risk.
It's a little bit high as well from Yongan, connected as well to Wei Bin in this case. Over to Natalie, centered in the middle of the field. Okay, Chuckies getting back on the ground. All right, swinging over.
They seem to be coming up with their own vert stack.
Both teams very similar in the way right now, how disciplined they are. Swinging to the sidelines, not there, and getting it back down the middle. And some very nice strike cuts as well. All right, Natalie there, looking for an option.
Ooh,
All right, and she
nice
finds her
recognition.
teammate in the end zone.
Nice throw, nice recognition.
Right. Teammate Daryl Thumb.
Seeing that the mark wasn't able to catch up, giving that overhead throw.
Definitely credit to Felix in that case, getting that D and getting them the opportunity to get another point.
At this game also, there's not much wind.
Virtually no wind right now,
Virtually
so.
no wind. You can see the flags in the sideline aren't moving at all, so you could get away with those high release throws.
Exactly.
7-10.
Do we have a timeout
Oh,
call?
no. 7-11. 11 for Chuckies, but yeah, timeout called.
All right, things are getting a little bit tighter in terms of score for Alpha once more. the game being 2:15, so a run would be good at this time.
If you were the coach of Alpha, Sam, what would you say to the team right now?
Oh, why did you ask me that
What
question?
would your inspiring words be? No, but on a serious note, what do you think should Alpha do to?
I think Alpha should go to the party night 9 p.m. in Phil Invest tent. Free-flowing booze for all the players. If you are not a player in this tournament and want to go to the party, you are welcome to go. It's just 600 pesos entrance fee for free-flowing booze, courtesy of Emperador Hot Shots, and of course beer. All the beer that you can have.
All the beer that you can have.
What more can you ask for?
More beer! That was Bing Bautista, president of the Philippine Buying Desk Association, inviting you to join us at the party tonight at the Phil Invest tent, 9 p.m.
Yes, he came out of nowhere.
Blindsided me with that invitation, but hey, it's open to everyone.
Okay. Coming back in after the timeout. I'm interested to see how the Alpha team adjusts their defense, because they're not the most high flying or layout type of teams. Some of the players here in this tournament would generate turnovers by literally getting that defense up in the air or getting that layout bid to generate the turnover. So I want to see how Alpha plans to get those turnovers to get back into the game. Well, I think at least the initial part of the strategy that Alpha seems to be having with their defense to try and prompt more lateral swings, more lateral movement of the disc from Chuckies, it is a sound one. But unfortunately, right now, I think what may be lacking in their defense.
Casey with a backhand.
And that's a great throw.
That was a good layout though to prevent that break throw, but still, it was too wide for the mark to get on.
And the break throw able to find exactly that nice spot between the two defenders for the Alpha score.
Casey to Warren. Warren with I think 3 or 4 points already in this game. Definitely one of their crucial and most important players on their O-line.
Definitely. Yes, he's definitely been doing a lot of work for them and keeping them in, helping them to stay in this game too.
Their workhorse.
Yes. So yeah, I mean, Alpha has put in a lot of effort on offense. Indeed, their offense seems to be clicking a lot better. Defense-wise, to get back into this, probably something that might be lacking in this case that they might want to dial down is allowing, as much as their approach is effectively making the swings occur a lot more frequently. You're always seeing Chuckies being able to squeeze one down the middle and then get those yardage gainers, and that kind of throws everything off after that. So if they could lock that down, hopefully maybe in this next D point, if they could lock that down, we might be able to see a lot more pressure being able to be put on the handlers, and they might be able to force some errors in this case. So like you mentioned, they're not the highlight defense kind of a team as you mentioned, but if they could lock that down, then maybe it's a war of attrition to a certain extent. And the handlers having to touch this a lot more, and hopefully, I guess, part of the strategy might be to make them impatient, try something a little bit more risky. But at this point, if they're leaking those inside cuts, it might be hard to do that.
Yeah, definitely. If Alpha can generate more risky throws from Chuckies, but as you mentioned, Chuckies is pretty patient and pretty conservative, so it's gonna take a lot more pressure than this for Chuckies to throw those risky throws.
And I think Chuckies as well. For those of you viewing, it might be hard for you to see the whole field in this case, but we have the opportunity to see that, and they're being very disciplined, stretching the field out. So when you see a power position like here, you always will have somebody from the Chuckies team going deep, stretching the field, making sure that what I think Alpha wants to do, these poaches to try and do help defense, become less effective, because if you leave that person streaking deep, they will send it, and that will negate your defense so far. So kudos to Chuckies to be able to do that. Oh, a tight throw, tight scooper, being able to be picked up. Okay. And here we have a little bit of transition where Sean, one of the cutters, was moved up into the handling line for a while.
Upline throw.
And there we go. Right there. Back into the stack and getting the score.
Good patience by Chuckies there. Yeah, to your point, Sam, I hardly see them clog one another. It seems like it's clear for them who's going to cut at what point in time, where the options will be. If you're a handler, you know where your options are. If you're a cutter, you know what you need to do. So good job to them. It's a clear display that they've really refined.
The team is on the same page, definitely, for this game. And no, you don't see any jitteriness at all. They know their roles, they know their places, they know their flow in the structure, and they are executing it well.
I think the fact also that there's no wind makes it extra difficult for anyone in defense to generate a turn.
Exactly. Sometimes you may have to go down to just really winning your individual matchups, pure player-on-player defense. And as we all know, it's very easy to say that, but probably very tiring to try and do.
Much harder to do than it is to say.
Well, Alpha definitely needs to explore whatever options they have at this point in time. Score is 8-12 right now, so they need to stop the flow of Chuckies and get on the run.
Maybe they need to bring out their more what do you call this? Man-on-man pressure player defenders. Because not everyone plays in that style. Some people, but they have to dig deep if they want to come up with a W for this game.
That's right. Okay. Decent flow, the same defensive look from Chuckies at this point in time, and once more again we're seeing a nice flow.
Nice flow
from both sides, in this case from Alpha. Almost to the end zone. He's looking for options.
Tell people to come closer. Easy swing.
Chucky's being very comfortable to just have the ladies stand in the lanes, stop the advancement, allow the swings perhaps.
Not transitioning into a man.
Yeah, not just yet, it seems. Alright, even this close. We're only about a throw away. Decent throw. And one of the Alpha ladies sneaks in. Bit of a miscommunication for the defense there, I think.
I don't know who's going to get.
Exactly. I think Weipin in that case was well positioned, but there was a miscommunication with one of the ladies. And one of the ladies was able to sneak in there and get that.
I think Alpha's offense is much better now versus that in the first half. If they weren't able to lose some points early on, we might be at 12-12 right now.
Exactly.
Definitely, it's much more harder to catch up later into the game than it is at the start. So
it is. I mean, you definitely want to have a nice, clean start.
A nice cushion, even.
Yeah. Even being a participant here, coming back from a deficit is probably one of the hardest ways to win.
Yeah.
And a lot of it depends on not just yourself, but conditions as well. And once more, like you mentioned, time becomes a factor. The added pressure that puts on you as you try to chase that lead.
You try to overextend yourself. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Well, let's just put it this way. If you can start well, you should. Yeah, it definitely makes things a lot easier. You know, I mean, there are difficulties to holding a lead as there is to chasing one, but definitely, I don't think. Yeah, no one would argue that it's a nicer place to be having a lead than having to chase one.
Right, I agree.
And here we have the very dependable O-line for Chuckies moving back. Once more, we will always see sometimes the mids having the freedom to come down, fill in the gap, get across. Okay, Darren puts up a deep shot. Oh, hitting Nurul.
Drops
A
on the
nice
break
outside in.
side.
Drops nice. Nurul looking for options.
Backhand.
And we have a score.
Oh, wait, she seems to have landed awkwardly with her ankle, but walks it off.
Yeah. So Darren there of a great identification of the break side and being able to use that outside in curve forehand throw to hit Nurul and on the break side and her defender being out of position.
It seems though that Chuckies is making good use of the break side. Not the first one that landed there from a forehand throw, so starting to see a pattern here there also.
That's right. And I think it's safe to say we'll probably be seeing very much the same offense and the same looks, the same flow from the Chuckies O-line and Chuckies offense, even on defense. It's well, they're not being pressured right now by Alpha. There's no need to change, you know. It's working. The defense is not adjusting, so you can almost take it in. Just go. Just keep it in. Yep. So once more, hopefully Alpha realizes that they need to throw Chuckies off their game. It might be a little bit more difficult. They might not see immediate results from it. But I would say it's definitely worth being able to mix things up right now because Chuckies is in their zone. They're having nice and relaxed. They have a commanding lead, and the game is winding down. They're 2 points away from victory.
Yeah.
If not now, then never.
Yeah, if you're at a deficit also, especially at a crucial game like this, you have nothing to lose. Just throw out all of your plays, try something new, maybe it works. Because hey, it's AOU GCC. You have to show everything you got.
Exactly.
Offense is on point though. Making good use of the space.
Like you
from
mentioned.
side to side.
Yeah, the Alpha O is definitely looking a lot more comfortable.
Especially with those overhead throws. They seem comfortable with it a lot.
Chuckies as well being quite comfortable to allow a lot of the lateral movement like we mentioned, and being quite disciplined to be able to stop any kind of yardage gainer. Randall got one in that case. Over to Ollie.
Pass to Sam.
Okay, looking to
Sam
get it by.
backhand.
Right.
To Cess.
Definitely a lot more pressure now on the defense, being this close to the end zone.
Nice overhead throw again.
But a lot of patience, a lot of composure from Alpha.
Kudos to the ladies though of Chuckies at the front.
Yep. Cutting off the angles, getting in the face of the throwers.
Preventing those easy dumps and those easy swings.
Very well, in fact, of the angles.
Oh.
And there we have a nice hammer throw.
Nice hammer from Elmo Mangala and a lefty hammer to Warren Inferno.
Well, I think in this case, Chuckies might be quite comfortable with those looks because, I mean, if you're playing a zone, then the overheads are the risk that you're looking to take. And yes, it may not be windy, but in this case, it slows them down. It gives them opportunities and looks to try and make plays on.
Sure.
And they have in the past points which got them their breaks or the opportunity to get their breaks. So, yeah, I mean, if I'm on Chuckies right now, yes, I'll continue to push on D, but I won't be too phased if, they get some O points because right now, riding our offense structure, moving in, just keeping it, trading points, we'll be in a comfortable victory.
Sure, yeah, and to your point, there's going to be more throws if you throw that zone. It's going to take longer for the offense to score. And with a longer offensive point, it's going to delay the time that defense can come in and generate a break. So
Exactly right.
you get to keep that lead, and time is winding down. So things aren't too bad, even if you, as Chuckies, can't generate that turnover.
And I have to say the weather is a lot better right now. I must say the weather was murderous yesterday. It's so hot. The ground was so hard.
Humid.
And if I'm not wrong, I think we had some rain throughout the night, a little sprinkle here and there. I felt that the
Not a
ground was a
little.
little softer
A
actually.
little is so much of an understatement. they
Was it pouring here?
Whiff made a good call of canceling the games last night. It did rain a lot.
It was a good look, but a bit of a rest throw, an opportunity now for a D point.
I think some miscommunication also
Alpha?
for who that this was.
Yes. I think in that case, Fali was looking for Hazel, but yeah, I think caught her a little bit flat-footed off jab step.
Right.
Okay, so Alpha looking to really capitalize on this one. It's been a while since they had a breakpoint opportunity. Alex Castro handling.
They need to
Jesse.
get this one if they want to go back in the game. Anjo, a bit frustrated, not seeing the options that he wants.
Okay, we have a call downfield. Not on the camera this time. Potentially a pick. Alright. Alex with the disc again, working together with Anjo. Centered the disc.
Swings it to JC.
So this would be the defensive line handlers. Oh, a great bid from Anjo to keep that disc alive. Okay, he's gonna need some help on the cuts there. JC, whoa, really cheeky throw. Didn't work out that time. And the Chuckies player is streaking deep. We have a deep throw up to Sean.
Wide
and
open.
It's a wide open score.
Must be frustrating to be getting that rare turnover. And then you're right in front of the end zone, but unfortunately you turn it over.
Unfortunately, I think those throws were a little bit rushed in that case, and as it can be with the adrenaline coming from getting that opportunity to get that break point. Alright, so we are at 14-10 now.
One more point for Chuckies, then they have it in the bag.
Exactly, so Alpha has quite a bit of work here if they're looking to still squeeze out a victory. Basically, they're going to have to
do a 5-0 run.
Not the easiest.
Anymore,
yeah, not the easiest in this case. So a great position for Chuckies to be in. So let's see what Alpha can make of it, and let's see if Chuckies is able to push through. Their defense has been fairly effective so far, getting quite a number of breaks, putting them in this commanding position. And I think in this case, from the different lines that we've seen, it's a little bit more of a hybrid line. We're seeing some of the players that were playing on O being brought in for D. And you see a lot more pace on the lines. So I think they're looking to press this and try to end it right now. Put a lot of pressure on the O line for Alpha. Okay, so far being able to keep them towards the center of the field. We have Yongan and JJ up at the front, marking the handlers, and Daryl marking the third player that was elevated but now moved in. And we have a turn.
Too low.
And oh, hang on, perhaps an injury. Would that be
It was a bit too low, or Seth had to slide down. Get it.
Seems to be alright.
Next question. But
not sure what the call here is. Okay, Chuckies has possession. They're moving forward.
Maybe it's more of respecting that someone fell.
Checking on her, making sure no injuries. Okay, Janice with a nice elevated throw over to Felix. Felix looking. Oh, still being able to move forward. JJ working together with Felix, two very pacey cutters.
Sorry for making work on a Saturday.
Okay, handlers being able to get the strike. Nice flow over to. Is JJ in there on that catch? Did he make the catch? No.
I think they're trying to tow it, but it's a bit too far for him to go.
Alright, so Alpha with the opportunity to stay in the game.
Again, I'm already.
Okay. Good defense on the handlers. And just as good positioning. Oh, a deep look. Sends it over to Randall. Randall with the catch just outside the end zone. And the disc is scored.
Really good decision there to just throw that puck. You have nothing to lose.
Yes.
One more point for the opponent, and time is running out. You definitely need to make things happen, whether you're over defense.
All right, and here is where, if we will see it, will come the defensive push from Alpha.
Alpha will probably have to bring out their strongest defenders in this
They'll
point.
have to. And they have no more room to give.
I've seen some some situations like these before where the offense, I mean the team, one of the teams is leading and then they only need one more point to win, but somehow, some way, the team with the deficit, they generate those turnovers, maybe because of the pressure, maybe because of the expectation that, hey, it's going to be an easy point.
Yep.
But not always the case.
Never count a game over until the last point is scored. Definitely. So Alpha is definitely fully capable of making a run here.
Kenneth and Charlie, Trina, Alex, Ollie, and Kea. Hey, it's a 3-4 lineup.
All right.
Chuckies to bring in more ladies and gentlemen.
Mixing it up. All right, so a little bit of change of strategy on the part of Chuckies.
See if Kenneth can get another hand block for this one.
All right, nice break over to Felix from Darian. Darian being able to get a nice strike up and through the middle of the field. All right, we're seeing the trademark flow. Very good offense from Chuckies. Okay, Fadley working together in Merle in this case. Finding Darian. Darian about up. Nice hammer throw, and
That's the game.
that is the game. Chuckies 15 to 11 for Alpha.
11 for Alpha. Well, good job for both of these teams to coming out and showing how much they practice, how much they've grown. It was a pretty tight game, despite the lead. It doesn't show that this game was actually a lot closer than it would seem.
Yes, it would. Towards the end, Alpha started to dial in a little bit more, but unfortunately, probably a little bit too late in this case. They gave a little bit too much to Chuckies at the start. But definitely in this case, credit to Chuckies as well. They had a game plan, they executed it extremely well, and played fairly mistake-free.
At half, the score was 4-8, so definitely if the score at halftime were a bit different, maybe the final score would have been also different. Okay, we are where we are, and Chuckies makes its way to the quarterfinals.